I'm from Kansas City, Kansas originally. And I'm a lifelong journalist. When I was 14 years old, I decided I wanted to be a reporter, and the ninth grade journalism teacher knew that I liked clothes. So I did a column called Terry's Tips for Fashion and Flair. That's really funny. It was 1968 in Kansas City, Kansas. And anyway, and it's so funny that, you know, now, how many years later, I'm still doing the same thing. So it's kind of funny that's how it happened. But anyway, so I started the Wall Street Journal in 1984. How many of you all are journal readers? Oh, well, a lot of them. Okay, now if you read the Journal, you probably read a lot of my stories. You didn't read bylines because you're not the type that would read bylines. But anyway, when I first started there, I covered the courthouse when Giuliani was prosecutor, and he was very ambitious back then. I covered the courthouse, and I also covered airlines. And we had a lot of my companies went out of business, Pan Am and Eastern Airlines and People Express, etc. So anyway, the managing editor knew I liked clothes, and he said, why don't you help us develop a fashion beat at the Journal? Now at that time, the Journal was a 2-section newspaper. We had no photos. You all know it was just charts and those dot drawings. So it was pretty, and so I had to like figure all this out. So the fashion industry was covering fashion, cosmetics, jewelry, retailing, and everything else. Okay, now I'm not a fashion critic. Even though I did go, and I still go to Fashion Week, I did not do runway reviews. I interviewed designers and everything, but I never really did reviews. And I was a person, when they saw me, they said, oh God, here comes Terry Agins. Because I did a lot of investigative stories. My claim to fame, I did a big story about the accounting scandal at Leslie Fay Companies, where they reported $81 million in net income that had, you know, that just kind of disappeared in the ether. And I had to like figure out how this happened. And I also did a big story on Marc Jacobs and his fight with LVMH with Mr. Bernard Arnault, who's the head of LVMH, when he was renegotiating his contract after 10 years. So I did a lot of big stories. I got to go to London, Paris, Milan, regularly to cover the shows and to cover the shows. But for me, covering the shows was actually going and smoozing a lot, just like you guys are doing here, with bankers and retailers and people to tell me. And I had to be really charming because I had to get people to tell me things, you know, so I could use them in stories. And obviously, when you're doing something where you're writing about business and money, people are not that, you know, willing to open the kimono. So it really requires a lot of research and everything else. Okay, so anyway, so here we go. Okay, so I am also the author of 2 books. Oops. Oh, here we go. This is my first book.
It's very sensitive.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, this is my first book, The End of Fashion. This came out in 1999. And they use it, it's in 4 languages, and they use it in all the schools, even now, the marketing courses. And this is a hardcover, but the subtitle for the soft cover is How Marketing Changed the Fashion Business Forever. And then here's Hijacking. Oh my God, this thing it's really sensitive. And this is Hijacking the Runway, How Celebrities Are Stealing the Spotlight from Fashion Designers. And I'll get into that in a minute. Okay, now, the one thing is, okay, I retired from the Journal in 2009. And this is after Murdoch bought the company. And but I continued to write the Ask Terry column. I don't know if you all ever saw that column on Thursdays. And I continued to write that. And during all this time, I got to know, I wrote 500 columns over the last like 10 years. And I got to know a lot about consumers. I learned that women in their 60s and 70s still were interested in fashion. They walked high heels. They were not the type who wore like pull-on pants. I mean, we all have this idea that they're really like out of it. They're still into clothes. And also that women size 14 and over have really been underserved by the industry. I got so many questions about that. Okay, for men, I got questions from a lot of guys under 40, because obviously we had a lot of male readers at the Journal. And they are not just metrosexuals, but a lot of men are really interested in fashion. And they're interested in watches, they're interested in sneakers, and they're also interested in jewelry. And these are not just guys who are not gay guys, but these are just regular men. All are interested in all this. So, one thing is they all need help. Because my column was a column that was more about solutions, helping people figure out how they could use fashion well. So the one lesson that I think that you all can learn, and I'm sure you all know this now, is that you really need to spend a lot of time to help consumers shop, because they really need personal shoppers. They need attention because they just need attention to help wardrobe themselves. Okay. Okay, now let's look at David Yurman. David Yurman is the guy who figured this out in the jewelry industry. He started with that cable bracelet, and he's got this $850 million empire with something like 40 stores. And he basically is somebody who's figured out how to sell jewelry in today's age when it's so difficult to do so. And a lot of people consider David Yurman really like high fashion jewelry. I know for this crowd, this is kind of like, not the, I mean, you all are a lot more sophisticated than this, but this is where a lot of consumers are. And as you know, Yurman is really very popular in, Neiman got his big start at Neiman Marcus. Now, you've heard all the previous speakers here talk about courting baby boomers and also trying to wrangle the millennials to get them to go shopping, because they're going to try to train them to be the big consumers of the future. So here's my take, and these are just a few little revelations and thoughts that I want to share with you guys about how you can tinker your business to make sure that you actually are reaching the people you want to reach. Now, the first thing, as you all know, that there is so much consolidation that's going on in the industry. This has been going on since the 90s. Fewer stores. We're looking at, Macy's is closing all these stores. There's a rumor that Neiman Marcus is going to perhaps be acquired. And this means that we're going to have bigger, I mean, the Walmartization of basically of a lot of fashion stores. Okay, for a lot of retailers like you guys, smaller jewelry companies, this means is that you all are going to have to really, even more than ever, you're going to have to really concentrate on giving peerless service and giving really unique product. And you're going to have to really romance it in a way that you've never been able to do before. I mean, you've got to get the cool factor. It's got to get social media buzz. I mean, all that is really important for you. And this does work because, I mean, there are still some stores. I mean, I don't know. Do you guys know the store in D.C.? It's called Betsy Fisher. Betsy Fisher is on Connecticut Avenue. She's been there for 25 years. She sells to boomers, mid-price clothes. She also sells a lot of jewelry, not super fine jewelry, but jewelry under $1,000. And she's had a booming business for all these years because she's got great customer service and she's got good taste. So now, what you all, I'm going to give you all some good news. Everybody's been saying bad news. Let me give you some good news. The good news is there are 10 million households in America who have assets of over $1 million. Now, that's not including what their homes are worth, but we got 10 million millionaires in the United States. We also, and of those, 1.2 million of them, these households, have net worth between $5 and $25 million. So this is your marketplace. There are a lot of people to sell to. So do not forget this. And this group keeps getting bigger and bigger because, the stock market. So a lot of people are, these are the people who you can target. But the trickiest thing for you is going to be the behavior changes that have come since the 1990s when rich people stopped acting like rich people. And this is the one thing, I talk about this all the time because this is something, and did you ever read this book called The Millionaire Next Door? Okay, this was a book that came out in, 10, 15 years ago, and it talked about all the habits of millionaires, and a lot of them were frugal, they drove used cars, and, and they were pretty low key. But what's also happening with today's millionaires, you've got the tech millionaires, and they're the ones that are really hard to engage. And also, let me also tell you guys, if anybody wants to jump in, because I don't like to just stand here and lecture people, so if you all have a question, there's something you want to comment on, just jump in, raise your hand, I'll call on you, okay? Okay, so anyway, I'm talking about these tech guys. Okay, these are the Google guys, the Zuckerbergs, and they're the ones who actually started the casual dress cycle. And the casual dress cycle has been the biggest disruptor in the fashion industry. Make no mistake about it. Now, this started in the early 90s. And that's when people stop spending a lot of money on clothes. And for for the tech millionaires, the thing about that made them so difficult to deal with is that they not only dress casually, but okay, they never go to like a formal party, or they never wear black tie. And they're also, the bigger problem is that they're not interested in the classic terms of philanthropy. For example, you know, the museum, the symphony, the ballet. I mean, this has really been this is going to be a big problem in the country, because these are the titans of industry, the Carnegies and Vanderbilts, and the people who used to underwrite all these museums and everything. Well, now you've got these tech millionaires. They're not interested in this. Now, what they are interested in, they're interested in a lot of earthy, crunchy things. Environmental causes, clean water in Africa, other human rights things. But they're really not. They are not. These are rich people who are not acting like rich people. And this is something that is really, really tricky. The other thing, okay, you've also got a whole generation of young people. Okay, anybody under 40, they grew up clothes, stretch, small, medium, and large. They wore sneakers all the time. They don't know what a French seam is or a bound buttonhole. They have no idea of connoisseurship in terms of clothes. And this has nothing to do with socioeconomic level. This is just the way people live. I mean, and so this is also a huge, huge issue. And I keep saying is that the solution would be that if schools, you look at schools, kids, the reason why kids are going to grow up and be consumers who are going to buy these finer things in life is because they've been exposed to them. In schools, they've cut out art classes, they've cut out a lot of trips to museums, and the European kids still have some of that, but they do not have it in the United States. And this dumbing down, this race to the bottom with everything just lowest common denominator, I mean, this resentment against people who are intelligent. All this is working against the luxury goods industry, because these people are not going to suddenly, even if they have a lot of money, they're not going to suddenly be connoisseurs of things that they've never been exposed to. So, yeah, go ahead, John.
You asked us to jump in, so I figured I'd jump in.
Go ahead, jump in,
When you
please.
mentioned before, a lot of these millionaires are into causes. Do you think that's an opportunity to kind of market the ethical sourcing components of jewelry?
Yeah, that would be, because I think that would be a way to engage them, because De Beers was, the whole thing with the blood diamonds and all. I mean, I think that, yeah, that this could be a way to do it. But look for any way to enter in there or to get them excited about something. But they're not, this is not the typical millionaire, and so and they're going to be harder to engage in. So you can't use the old ways to do it. So yeah, so thank you for jumping in. Okay, so anyway, now, so what the solution is for the fashion industry, when all this started to happen, and they said, okay, we got to figure out how to get people to dress up again. They couldn't figure that out. They said, but we can get a way to people to spend money on stuff. So what did they do? Came up with the It handbag and the expensive shoes, like the ones that I'm wearing now. Red Sole, Louboutin, $750. Okay, this is what, and also the expensive premium denim, right? So, and watches. So this was a way for people to show off, and this helped out the industry to a certain extent. And as I said, and then somebody like, David Yurman, he found a way to capitalize on this. But still the challenge is for you jewelers is that once people have splurged on a lot of this stuff, they're not going to keep going back and buying more trinkets. I was just telling one of the people here that I said, I have so many pairs of expensive shoes. As I'm getting older, I'm not going to buy any more. These shoes aren't going to wear out because I only keep them on for like an hour. And so they're never going to wear out. So I'm going to wear the ones that I have. I'm just not going to buy any more. And so this is the challenge to figure out how do you keep coming up with novelties to entice them to come back. So I think the solution for you guys is smaller ticket items. I think that this is really going to be the way for you to go. That not a really big splurge. I mean, this is what Tiffany did. Tiffany has a lot of things under $250 that you can buy there. And people still get the blue box. They still get that thrill. And so I think what you all should do, and I mean, I can imagine at a lot of jewelry stores, you've got, just like in any other fashion business, you have some cash cow items that are, you know, that you sell day in and day out at a certain price point. But I think that you're going to have more of those, because I think that is going to be a way to keep them going. And I think of, my friend, a girlfriend of mine who went to college with me at Wellesley, who went to Harvard Law School, and she's a big judge in D.C., and she wears Judith Ripka because she has to wear robes, you know, all the time as being a judge. But she loves Judith Ripka. I mean, she has spent thousands of dollars on this, and she thinks this is like a big deal. And I keep telling her, you know, Judith Ripka, I think you could do a little bit more than that. But the point is that it's just like Yeoman, but it's big enough to splurge where she feels like it's something that's cool. And it's attractive, but it's not anything that, so the thing is that, and once again, she's not a connoisseur. So this is, for her, this is good enough. So anyway, so these are the things that, but as I said, I really wish, I would love to see the United States really get into thinking about putting more money and emphasis on the arts, because I really think for a long-term problem, this is a way to solve that. Okay, now we talked about earlier at the other panels about, you know, the rise about cheap sheet, you know, do it yourself, rent the runway, and all these iterations, you know, why pay more? And, you know, from Target to Zara and everything, everybody has gotten really good at making fashion. And the thing is, quality does not count. It is not important to have quality in fashion anymore. It's good enough. It's going to last, if it lasts for a couple seasons, because you want to buy something new every season anyway. So most things are, you know, most people are very happy to buy something, even if it's slightly crooked, doesn't wash that well, it's fine, you move on. And for young people, since they don't, you know, since they don't have no sense of connoisseurship, it doesn't matter. And the other thing is too, and it's also too going with jewelry. Now, for example, tonight I have on some really nice earrings, and these are real. But I've got on my Swarovski rings. This one was $300, and this was $185. And that's bling, that's fun, and it's good enough. I don't need to necessarily have diamonds. And there are a lot of people, I mean, but I do want around my face, I want real jewelry. So, you know, so I gotta play that game. But there are a lot of people who are in this. So the thing is, you need to think about that. But the funny thing is about quality, but look where the consumers are. Now, they are interested in quality when it comes to their iPhone. They will stand in that line, it goes all around the block, the night before, lining up to get the latest phone. And they are really exigent about these, you know, about tech goods. They want the high quality. The same thing about the sneakerheads. You know, these kids who collect all these designer sneakers, and they have them waiting lists and all that stuff, and release dates, the whole thing. They're really interested in that. So, you know, these are things just to keep in mind. Okay, now I'm going to hop around and tell you a little bit about department stores. Okay, department stores, we're looking at Nordstrom, Macy's, Saks, all these stores. You know what they've done? They found a sneaky way to mark down prices. You know what they're doing? With all the outlet stores. This is where the growth is in department stores. Make no mistake about it. Nordstrom Rack, Macy's Backstage, Saks Off Fifth. Claudio Del Vecchio, who is the CEO and owner of Brooks Brothers, who's a good source of mine, told me, he said, we make so much of our money in outlet stores. This is where all business is done, not to mention the outlet stores and the outlet malls. Okay, a company like Ralph Lauren, for example, Ralph Lauren has their outlet business. Now, this is not broken out in their 10K, but it's more than $1 billion business in all the outlet stores. And that was, I wrote this story in like 2007, so I don't, it's probably, you know, maybe 1.5 billion or something. Anyway, this is where, so this is the way that everybody has managed to kind of mark down prices by basically just kind of switching things up. And their main stores are their flagship stores, but in addition to flagship stores, where they get a lot of their business is online. So you're not. So we're going to be continue to see more malls close because it's just not efficient to have those stores around. Okay, now, guess. Okay, I want to ask you all. Guess which store? Okay, somebody gets a gold star for this. Which store is the biggest fashion retailer in the world? No.
Target. Amazon.
You guys are not good. Okay. It's TJX. There it is. Ta-ta. Okay, now look down at the bottom. Indedex, that's Zara. TJX, that includes Marshalls, TJ Maxx, and also Home Goods. Now, let me tell you about TJX. Now, you all remember TJX, TJ Maxx is, oh, you know, they just get leftovers. They have gotten very sophisticated about this. I was talking to some designers. Now, TJX, they don't even want you to design the stuff. You're a designer, you show up, they'll pay you a royalty. They have platoons of designers who work and help them design everything to actually match and coordinate with TJX customers. There are a few things that are sprinkled in from the past season, but everything else, TJX manages like a Swiss watch. They're the only people who are making money. And so people are really surprised, but TJX is a company that's really doing this better than everybody else. Okay, now, I'm gonna now talk about my book. And this is really fun because I have a lot of fun stuff here. Hijacking the Runway, how celebrities are still in the spotlight in fashion designers. Okay, this is something you all should also know about because this whole celebrity thing, everybody, you think you kind of know about it, but I want to really, let you in on what's going on. Okay, celebrities are, as we all know, are the arbiters of style for everybody. Okay, it used to be, socialites for many years, and of course there's always been Audrey Hepburn, Jackie Kennedy, there's always been people like this. But now celebrities are moving, now we're not talking about just actors and singers and everything, we're talking about reality show stars, we're talking about the girl who has, 20,000 or 200,000 followers on Instagram, she's a celebrity too. And these people can move the market and they are really important. And you need to engage some of these people. They can help you sell merchandise. Okay, so just keep this in mind. Now, why have celebrities become such a big deal? The reason they've become a big deal is because of the internet. When the internet started to create all this capacity, you suddenly had all these places, but they had space to fill. They needed to put in something in all these different websites and everything else. The easiest thing for them to fill it up with was celebrities. Because it was, you would automatically get all these eyeballs looking there. So that's how celebrities became a big deal. The other thing that happened was this: celebrities are not making any money. This is a funny thing. The secret is you think you see these people with these like outsized personalities. You see them on the runway, and you see them on the red carpet. The thing is, they're no more $25 million paydays like Cameron Diaz used to get for movies. Because look at all the, now you've got actors on Netflix, you've got them in all these different, they're not just network television. When Jennifer Aniston, last year that she was on Friends, all the top actors that were making $1 million each per episode. They don't get paydays like that anymore. So they have to find a way to monetize their fame. And so celebrities, when they figured out that they were not only the arbiters of style, but they could actually get paid for this, they're like, okay, so we're not just going to get free clothes, we're going to get paid to wear them. And if we have somebody to sponsor us, we can actually get our own fashion brand. Okay, so enter Jessica Simpson. Whoops, this thing is, okay, Jessica Simpson. Now Jessica Simpson was on the Newlyweds, as you guys remember. And I did her, right after she left the TV show, I did the first story with her when she left the show because she was trying to start a jeans line with this company in California, which is a New York Stock Exchange company. So I got the first interview with her. I went to LA, met with her and her mother. These people were very they're like Okies. They were really very simple people. They're from, I think she got a GED from high school. They're daughter of a preacher from outside of Texas. Anyway, really nice, very simple people. Okay, the jeans line didn't work, but what happened is Vince Camuto, the guy who started Nine West, was watching television with his son, saw Jessica Simpson, said, I think we should like work with her and maybe do something with her. They signed her up, and in 10 years, less than 10 years, it's $1 billion business. $1 billion in retail in more than 22 categories. Now, Jessica had nothing to do with this. She didn't have to design anything. She's getting paid. I figured probably she gets maybe like $20 million a year for doing nothing, just using her name. And for many years, you know, when she was, during that period when she was having the babies and also when she was kind of zoptic and not looking that great, they didn't even use her likeness. They were using look-alike models to represent the line. Then, you know, she got on Weight Watchers and she got all fly again, and so they started using her. The point is, now, if you see her now, she's now telling people she's a designer, you know, that, but anyway, but Jessica was just at the right place at the right time. If anybody who Vince Camuto touched would have gotten in that situation, but so she just got lucky. But anyway, and so I was going to show you, here she is. Now this is when she was really looking great. And of course, Vince Camuto was in the sweet spot of fashion, accessories, handbags, and shoes. So when he launched her, he said, that's what we're going to start out with, and then we're going to move to other categories. And it became a big success. And now I think they're, okay, Vince Camuto is no longer with us, rest his soul. And, but anyway, someone else is now, Vince Camuto's company still makes her shoes and handbags, and I think they're doing launch, men's wearing some other things. Okay, now here's Carlos Santana. Now, did you all know that he has a really successful shoe line? And he started before Jessica Simpson. I was in Macy's. I saw these shoes and I kept saying, oh, it's interesting. Somebody's got the same name as Carlos Santana. These are Carlos Santana shoes. And they're by Brown Shoe Group. Another case where the right, you know, marriage of the right designer with the right, with the right name with a manufacturer who knows how to make shoes. And it just so happened how that happened was the guy who was the CEO of Brown Shoe was really into music. And you know, he went and was an amateur guitarist. And so anyways, he got together with Carlos Santana and this happened. So anyway, it's really been a very successful brand. And okay, now Jennifer Lopez, which, okay, this is a really interesting story. Okay, Jennifer Lopez, now, you know, this woman is the hardest working woman in show business. J-Lo decided that she wanted to do a fragrance, and she went to all these different people. She went to Elizabeth Arden, she went to Estee Lauder, all these different companies. Nobody wanted to touch her. This was the time when she was actually dating John Puffy Combs, and he had been in that nightclub situation, and people thought that, you know, she was going in a different direction. So nobody wanted. This woman was radioactive. But Coty, the cosmetics company, their big thing, they were doing Sally Hansen nail polish, and they were a $1 billion company, but not much was going on. So anyway, they decided to sign on J-Lo. And they ended up doing a fragrance, and it became like a big, big deal. And now she has something like 30 fragrances that are in the marketplace. And it actually, J-Lo, the J-Lo Glow business the fragrance did so well that it revived the whole Coty organization and allowed Coty to go public. Now, I want you to look, this is the bottle. Now, this is real cute. J-Lo was in on designing all this stuff. This bottle, if you look at it, on this side, the bottle is larger. This is supposed to be her butt. This is the way, I mean, this is actually, this side of the bottle sticks out more than this side. And this was done on purpose. They were telling me, these great stories about how they developed these products. But anyway, when they told J-Lo this, you know, she's like, oh, wow, this is cool. So she really went along with this, and this became a really big deal. And also, too, this happened at a time when a lot of people weren't wearing fragrance, because also when people started dressing casually, it was hard. Why would you spend $50 for a fragrance when you weren't even spending that for a pair of jeans? So a lot of people started wearing, like men were wearing like Axe, you know, anything that had a slight fragrance. If you had a body cream, that was enough for people. So the department stores really needed somebody to get interested in the fragrance business again. And J-Lo actually, her fragrance did it. And then Justin Bieber, Beyonce, all these other fragrances came out here. Now the funny thing is that the celebrity fragrances represent less than 10% of the marketplace. But what they do is they make everything else smell good. Because what happens is it gives the company something to market around. And you know, it gets traffic in the stores. And when Justin Bieber, when he came out with the fragrances, I mean, you guys, people were camping outside in Macy's. I mean, all these girls, the Believers, I mean, it was like crazy. And so it actually did work. Okay, now, whoops, we're going to the Kardashians. Okay, now the Kardashians, Okay, bless their hearts. Okay. Okay, here they are. This is Annie Leibovitz picture, so don't they look fabulous? This is when they were doing this line of Sears. These clothes actually existed in Sears. If you saw them in Sears, they didn't look like this. But this is how they looked for that. And it was, you all know Sears is desperate. So they were really glad to have the Kardashians. It worked for like about a year. And then it collapsed and they ended the thing. But anyway, the first anniversary of the Kardashians at Sears, I went to, the girls actually did do a personal appearance at the store in Yonkers. And I went and I walked around, and I got there early because I knew there would be people like, just camping out waiting to see them. And I went to start to interview different customers. So I said, why are you guys, why are you so interested in wearing, you think that the Kardashians really designed this stuff? And everybody said, no, we don't think they designed it. And I said, well, why would you buy it? I mean, you can get this dress, which was $69, this bustier that Kim has on, you can get this dress for like $29 at like Forever 21. So why would you get this? Well, I think that they might have something to do with it. Well, they wouldn't put their name on it if they didn't believe in it. So the one thing is this. This is the takeaway you get. People want to believe. This is the thing about fashion. This is the mystique of fashion. People want to believe. And they are just convinced, even though they know better, intellectually they know better, they still want to believe. And they were very excited about the Kardashian clothes. Now, obviously, after the second or third purchase, they saw that things were not as good as, because the first collection was like, okay. But then after that, of course, it fell apart. Okay, the other example that I want to mention is Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump's suits, I actually met with Sheldon Brody, was a guy who did cheap suits for stores like Sims and Discount. And he was looking for a suit label that would restore, the whole corporate authority behind a men's suit. So he went to Donald Trump in 2003 and asked him, he said, I said, why did you choose him? He said, I chose him because he's the only guy, you've never seen this man without a suit on. And usually his jacket is buttoned. He always has a suit and tie. And he fits the stereotype of a millionaire. Rides around in limousines, the whole look. Now this was before The Apprentice. Okay, Donald Trump said, no, I don't want to do it. Okay, after The Apprentice was a huge hit that first year. Sheldon went back to him. So Donald Trump said, yeah, I think I'll do it. Yeah, why not? But now Donald Trump wears $5,000 Brioni suits. So he's saying, well, if I'm going to do suits, because Sheldon told me this was such a brio explaining this. He said, if I'm going to wear if I'm going to sell suits, and I wear Brioni, but they should at least be $1,000. And Sheldon's like, these are going at Macy's, $400. They're going to be promoted for $269, and this is where it's going to go. And because of course, Donald Trump did not have, the idea of his name being on a cheap suit. But they did a really good job with it. They did what they call a pick stitch, which is that little stitch around the lapel, which makes the suit look expensive. They did a really good job with them. And then they had, in Macy's, they had the men's floor set up like a boardroom, and they had a long table with chairs around. It was really well done. And I went to Macy's when they launched the Donald Trump watches, and people showed up like crazy with their cell phones and everything. This is like 2007. And I just said, there's something going on here. And I remember mentioning, talking to Sheldon, I said, and he was over there, because he was taking pictures. If you bought 2 watches, you get your picture taken with him. And he was kissing women and holding them. And I said, he's like a politician. I remember saying that. And of course, we see what happened. But one thing also, too, consumers, too, believed, there were people who thought that Donald Trump was the richest man in the United States. True. I mean, richer than Bill Gates. Because that's 14 seasons of that show, where people saw him firing people and looking very, presidential practically. That is what did it, and that's what I'm saying about celebrity. Once celebrity is baked in people, just like Sarah Jessica Parker, she is always going to be Carrie Bradshaw. I mean, that is baked in people's minds, and it doesn't matter. They will not be able to be talked out of it. So the power of celebrity is huge. And do not discount this, because people really, as I said, people want to believe, and if you pair the right celebrity with the right product, it will really work. Okay, so anyway, now, I wanted to get back to our Charlize Theron. Now you all know Charlize, and she's wearing a watch. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, now Charlize was under contract. She got paid $3 million a year to do Christian Dior fragrances, and she also was getting paid for Raymond Weil. We don't know how much money it was, a substantial amount to wear their watches. This is not a Raymond Weil watch that she has on, and this was a problem because they caught her in photographs wearing Christian Dior watches, Chopard. Charlize was just showing up wearing anybody's watch out in public. That is a breach of contract. They sued her for $20 million. Okay, now, she told the judge, okay, I had heard about this, but I said, I went back and actually got the court papers because I wanted to read exactly what happened. So anyway, she told them that she didn't do it on purpose. It was inadvertent. And, you know, and she was just so sorry that she regretted that this happened. And the judge said, no, Charlize. You had a 10-page contract where you initialed each page on that contract. And you had breached this contract. And so anyway, so she lost this case. Now, we don't know what she had to pay because it was sealed what she had to pay, but she had to pay a substantial amount of money. But the other thing that was also interesting in the suit, we also got, for the first time we were able to see in discovery of the suit, we saw how much money celebrities were getting paid to wear things. And she was getting paid these ridiculous amount of money to wear something to the Oscars, to wear something to a particular, you know, $200,000 to wear a bracelet to a particular event, and you know, that's incredible. So when you see the celebrities out here, I mean, you see the Kardashians and all these guys, every time you see them, they're getting paid. Not only they're getting free stuff, but they're getting paid to wear it. And I mean, the Kardashians get paid, you know, $400,000 for doing a tweet that, I mean, about a particular product. And the same thing is with all these bloggers. So, you know, as you're deciding to work with people, find out who's got the big Instagram following. And because these people, they will help bring customers to you because they really do have that power. I mean, you know, the woman, who's Man Repeller, who was the one who started the arm party with the bracelets, you know, she's another big arbiter. So, I mean, these are people that you need to pay attention to because they really have their value. Now, the funny thing about the celebrity thing, most of the celebrity marketing, and then the housewives, everybody's gotten into celebrity marketing. But there have been a couple of stars who've actually been able to break that ceiling, and those are the Olsen girls and also the Olsen twins with the Road and Victoria Beckham. And I want to talk about, but before I get to them, let's talk about Michael Kors. Michael Kors is a case of, if you can't beat them, join them. Michael Kors is a real designer, right? He did Project Runway, 10 seasons. Once again, it's baked in people's minds. This guy now becomes a celebrity. Michael Kors is now a billionaire. And I remember when this guy was going through bankruptcy, and he was always behind Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren. He did that same look, but he was really not the designer who had a really distinctive look, but he was very, very good on television. He was good, quick with a quip. He was very telegenic. He was on that show. He asked me to do, I was a judge on Project Runway in 2007, and you guys, we got paid nothing for this, and I had to take a day off of work, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm telling you, because they kept rerunning it, I went to go pick up my car once in the parking lot. This guy said, I saw you. You were judge on Project Runway. I was on a plane once. Someone sat next to me on a plane and said, I've seen you. You were on Project Runway. I've been on Oprah. I've been on a lot of shows. I have never gotten as much feedback as when I was on Project Runway. People loved that show. And Michael Kors was a star of that show. And he said after he was on there, he could sell anything. Then they started rolling out his accessory stores, and the business went crazy. So he's the case of a designer who became a celebrity. So in other words, there's the reverse commute that does happen. Okay, and then I wanted to then just conclude to talk about Victoria Beckham and the Olsens. And here and the Olsens. Well, here they are. They just won a CFD award with Lauren Hutton. And both of these are examples of celebrities who actually are doing high-end products. Now, people who are buying paying $3,000 for a Victoria Beckham dress are not buying it because she's a celebrity. They're buying it because they like it. And the same thing with Jessica Simpson at this point now. Once you get to that level, then they actually they turn into brands, and that's where they actually want to go. But they get a head start. One of the analysts on Wall Street said he estimated that being a celebrity and starting your own fashion brand will cut off about 10 years. In other words, it'll put you 10 years and leapfrog, you'll be able to leapfrog in front of everybody else. So celebrity marketing is something big. So now, do you all have any comments, questions? Joe again.
When you talked about the influencer marketing,
Yeah.
I know a lot of influencers, especially if you have 100,000 followers or more, it may be a little too expensive for some people here to get involved with. Is there a way, or what would you recommend to start getting involved?
No, this is a good question about how, well, the thing is this also, find somebody who will work with you. There's a woman named Genevieve Jones. I did a page one story about her in the Wall Street Journal. Genevieve Jones is a black woman from New Orleans, from Baton Rouge, who was a nobody, had not even gone to college. She moved to New York and but she was an it girl. She wore clothes beautifully. She had incredible style. She hooked up with the right people, and designers started using her as because they would use her because she would go to parties and wear clothes and get her picture taken. And so she became really important to them, and that cost them hardly anything but a free dress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't like they had to pay a glam squad, because if you work with a celebrity, they're going to ask you for all these extra things that they want, a limousine and a glam squad and all that goes along with it. So if you find somebody who's really, like an it girl, someone who's out all the time. Genevieve went out to parties. She wore clothes beautifully. Google her after this, because you'll see this woman is really sharp. And so that's a good way to do it.
It's like an up-and-comer.
Yeah, up-and-comer. Somebody get them at the beginning.
Okay.
And you see, where Tommy Hilfiger used Gigi Hadid, that was his way of doing it. Go ahead.
So legally, how would regional chains and smaller jewelers do this? To do licensing and licensing agreements and all what you're talking about.
Yeah, they would be, she's asking about.
Is there a specialist in this field who?
Yeah, there are attorneys. There are also people who specialize in working with celebrity marketing. And there's a company out in LA I know, I think it's called Mint. That they actually do work with people to help pair, because there are a lot of people who are famous who just want to be able to get, they're trying to find ways to make money too. So you can cut deals. But like you said, the earlier you get them, because once they get to the Kardashian size, no one can afford it.
And there are some agencies that specialize in influencers.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, we have a design competition, and we learned about 10 years ago that the first thing we did was there's got to be a reason for these women to do it. They have to be B-listers at best. Okay? And I'm not trying to say that pejoratively.
Yeah, no, but yeah, of course.
Taraji Henson, okay?
Uh-huh.
Would you like to hire Taraji Henson now? I did.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I got her when she was still on Person of Interest, hired a top flight Los Angeles fashion photographer, put a bunch of jewelry on her, and she got a free photo shoot with Elliott Clothing, a hairstylist. We do this every year.
Uh-huh.
And the thing is, it's an opportunity for them to add to their portfolio of pictures and things, and they're willing to do it. And the one thing that we look at, I don't watch TV. I look at social media numbers. I don't care what show they're on. You look at their social media numbers and how they're trending. If they're going up in social media, they're going to be getting better parts in movies. They're going to be getting better parts in plays. And as soon as they get there, they forget all about you. But
oh yeah, they're fickle. There's no royalty here.
They still had name recognition, and we were still getting 700,000 impressions with these ladies, but they weren't the Kardashians, and we didn't pay them anything.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying with Genevieve. They didn't pay her anything. She just got free clothes, and she was thrilled to get the free clothes, and she was out all the time. If you get somebody who's good, because now every city has. You've got the street paparazzi. There's always somebody taking a picture, plus just ordinary people just taking a picture with their cell phones and putting them on social media. And so if you get somebody who's out and about a lot in town, they can help move the needle, at least get, because it keeps that, because you're looking for the multiple impressions.
So we've got in general a very conservative industry, and I think there's a lot of fear about you get somebody that's an influencer and then they screw up.
Oh, yeah, so
We get painted with the same brush or whatever they screwed up with. How do you balance?
Okay, yeah,
the
I have
a
positive and
story.
Okay, your morals clause, yeah. Go
So I
ahead.
actually hired Kate Moss for a campaign,
Uh-oh.
and the campaign was about to be released, and I sent out my press release, and then I got a call the next morning from somebody from The Sun and The Mirror in the UK. Hi, Andrea, what do you think of your spokesperson now? And I'm like, what happened? There were a few lines of white powder at a nightclub, remember?
Yeah, but the funny thing is, though, she recovered from that.
She did.
That's the funny thing is that people, because nowadays, I mean, look at what Donald Trump recovered from. So the point is that I'm saying is that you can recover from a lot of stuff.
But the good behavior clause is incredibly important, because at the time, Chanel dropped her in a heartbeat,
They did, yeah.
and some other companies that she was working for, Uerman stayed mom, they had worked with her for a long time, Chanel dropped her, H&M dropped her, and we were mom for a while, and we were getting hate calls. We were getting a lot of calls from our conservative clients, especially in the United States. Like, I will never buy a piece of jewelry from you, ever.
But you know what, I still say, Andrea, don't worry about it. Because first thing is this, you're not gonna be probably spending Kate Moss type of money. And the other thing is too, is that just keep it moving. I mean, in other words, get this one this season, then move on to somebody else. Because that's what they do. You don't need to be married to one particular celebrity all the time. Because even when Charlize did this, I mean, she got a lot of bad press after that. Because then people started saying that, I mean, of course, she did not screw Dior like that. She had sense enough because, she had that $3 million contract with him. But a lot of people said, we don't want to touch her for a while because she is not going to be loyal. She's going to go off and wear whatever she wants to wear. But the point is that but it didn't ruin her, and it wouldn't ruin you either. So I don't think you should be that scared about it. And the other thing is, I mean, don't choose somebody who's too racy in the first place. I mean, find somebody who looks good in jewelry and because they're gonna they're gonna get a big head. I mean, talk to Mr. Armani. He will tell you stories about people who started out one way and then over the years, the hubris kicks in and then they become like really hard to deal with. So so that's gonna happen. That's kind of occupational hazard. But the point is, they'll help you out. But some blogger, I mean, come on, you can get a couple of seasons out of them and then move on to the next one. Because the one thing that the fashion industry loves about celebrities is that a lot of them are in and out. But the thing is that they like it because it just churns. They can just keep coming up. If one celebrity's over, then you move to the next one. And so you're not really stuck with any of them. That's what they liked about the celebrity fragrances, because even though the fragrances didn't stay in the store more than 3 or 4 months, it brought a lot of foot traffic in. People came in and bought other stuff. Anybody else? Okay, well, thank you. Okay, my Ask Terry column has been discontinued at the Journal, but I am reconstituting it as a newsletter, and so stay tuned for that. A lot of people have said, I've got thousands of people, not thousands, several, but more than 1,000 readers who've gotten in touch with me to say that they want me to continue the column, so I'm going to keep up with that. And I did bring 5 copies of my book that I'm selling for $20 a copy, so if anybody wants one, I will be here to sign it.
And what is
Okay?
that?
Okay, thank you.